All right, so now we are on Wagi, and Wagi is a part of our blue belt self-defense techniques, and Wagi means laying down techniques. So later on you have Jowagi, which is sitting techniques, and that usually comes first in most Hapkido sets. But we put Wagi first because grappling is so very, very important, and you're gonna see that this looks pretty much like Jiu-Jitsu because Hapkido is a derivative of Daituru Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, which comes from Japan, from Sogaku Takeda. So what we're doing is we're starting off, first 20 techniques will give you the basis for your Wagi, and then later we'll add more and more techniques into it. So at least you should be able to survive on the ground and get yourself back up. So we're starting off with technique number 1, which is reversing the mount. So from this position right here, usually if we're kneeling, so we'll just show you from this position. If we are kneeling and we're together on the ground, we'll just usually bow to each other this way. You'll see most people, they'll just kind of clap and then do that whole thing. But because it is a traditional martial art, we're working on that part 2, which is the respect. Now, he's gonna go all the way up on top here in the mount. Now from this position, there's a couple things that I need to be very, very aware of. So number 1, I have to watch my guard. So my guard is a multi-level guard. So what I mean by that is number 1, my feet are a very, very intrinsic part of my guard. If I don't keep my feet up, my feet down to the ground and my knees up, I go flat, basically I'm a sitting duck. So I gotta make sure that my feet are in, and I start watching his feet. So notice I'm already starting to hook his feet even before we start. Number 2, I keep my elbows on the inside of his knees so he does not come all the way up on top of my chest. Number 3, I'm covering my face because I have to make sure that I keep this boxing guard here so that way I can cover the sides of my head and the front of my head. So I don't want to cover straight, I don't want to be here, I want to start right here, keeping my elbows in and keeping my head up. Now from this position right here, notice that I can cover, I can use elbows, we can work this. Now from here, I'm working on a bump. Okay, so I just bumped my hips, which means I'm actually arching my back, pushing with my legs, and exploding up. From this point here, I have to work on pummeling in. So I'm taking this hand underneath and I'm hooking in and rolling my hand towards me, my palm down, hooking in. Now there's multiple ways you could do this. We could take 2 hands, I prefer 1, and hook in as tight as you can towards the center of your body. So not just straight down, but into the center. That pulls that elbow in so he can't post his hand out. So if he posts his hand out this way to this outside, I'm not going to be able to roll him this way. So I want to make sure that I hook this arm in as tight as I can. Now this arm over here is going to either swing over or push on the ribs. I like to go just underneath his latissimus dorsi right here where his serratus is on his ribs and start pushing, and we're going to push and pull and roll. Now watch this next bump, because once I get this hook, I'm going to take this hand, push, pull, bump, pushing his head towards the ground, then I'm going to turn my toes and we're going to roll. And then from this position, we work on the next position, which is passing the guard. So again, we'll do it from this side now, where my head is facing you so you can see everything that I'm doing. So, here's my guard. Notice that I'm covering my head and keeping my head up off the ground. I don't rest my head on the ground. I want to keep my head up off the ground because there will be times that I will have to hug him too and walk my way up. We'll cover that in another video, but see how I'm covering this. Now look, bump. Now look, hook. Now watch my foot. It's on the outside of his foot. So not only can he not post his hand, but he can't post his foot. Watch, this hand goes to his ribs. From this position, I can't stay here long because this hand can rain down punches. So I want to bump quick. And as I bump, see how his head went towards the ground. Now from this position, my hands naturally go into his ribs and I base out. Now I don't put my hands up here because that would be instant arm bars, especially for somebody that knows how to grapple. That's chokes, that's everything. So I keep my hands in here and then we work on exiting from this position. So at speed, and you don't have to go fast on these, we'll show it from this position again, and that way you can see it. It just looks like this, okay? Don't worry about being fast, worry about being smooth, okay? So He's punching, he's doing his motions. See how I'm covering right here. I get my bump, I get my hook, I roll, and then I protect myself. And notice that my hands are on those ribs, my elbows here, and I'm protecting by tucking my head in. I can hook those arms, but I try not to, because what happens is when we do that, it starts reaching out, we start giving them our arms. So then we go into passing the guard, which is technique number 2. So as we're passing the guard right here, so we'll start off him facing this way, so his head's this way, and we'll do it this way first. I've already reversed the mount, so from this position, notice that I'm here, he's wrapping his legs around me to control me. I have to get out of this and get myself back up on top. So my hands are in on his ribs, my elbows are in. Now watch my feet. I'm based out because I don't want to get rolled from side to side because he can scissor sweep me. So I want to make sure that I'm based out. From here, I'm going to shift one foot to the back of his butt, the other foot back far this way. Now when I shift this foot back far, it creates a lot of space in between his legs. So even if he's pulling me in, pull me in, good. Now watch this, look how I still have that space. From here I'm going to push with my elbows, which is going to break that grip. I'll take both hands to one side here, so my palms are down, I'm scooping, I lift my knee very, very little off the ground, but just enough to get over. 1. Now my foot stays on the other side. So you can see my knee goes down, but my foot's staying in on the other side, so he does not hook me in to a half guard. He can't move this leg back across. He can hook this one, which is fine. I can get past that, but I don't want to get stuck in half guard. From this position, immediately my body drops, my hand comes underneath his neck, and I want to make sure I smother him. Now notice that I still haven't moved that foot across. This hand needs to counterbalance me. So don't reach up by his head, reach perpendicular to his body. Now this gets your body going completely diagonal to his, so he can't roll you. If I'm here, he can roll me easily. From here, when my weight's down, roll me. See, it's very, very hard. It's not impossible, but it's hard. So this gives me the ability to push up. So now I use this arm that's on his neck to pull, like if I'm pulling myself up a wall, and I just slide up as fast as I can. 1, and I'm up. Now from this position, I gain control, push my hips out, or push my hips forward, push my knees out, and I'm ready to launch. So again, we'll do it now from this side here, so that way you can see. So from this position right here, when my hands are in on his ribs and my knees are out and I'm protecting my head, there's a lot of things I need to do. Gotta watch where my elbows are at on the inside of those thighs. I'm going to shift in and shift this leg back. I like to kick this leg back far because this gives me a little bit more space. Now from here, I'm gonna push down like we're using a ratchet with our arms. 1, see, that pushes it down. 2, my hands come across, my knee comes in. Don't come in from the outside because you'll lose position, they'll take your back. So you wanna go in from the inside here, then immediately drop across, okay? So from this position, when I'm dropping across, I wanna make sure that I pull up like this as I push with this other leg and I slide up. Now notice that when I did that, this leg still stayed with my foot across. Now I'll let go and shoot up to the top of his chest. My hips go forward and I push my knees out. So from this side, I just want to show you my arms, okay? So we pass the guard right here and we're in this position. 1, 2, 3. Notice this arm has to be all the way out because when I push through, I want to make sure that my weight is down. What I don't want to do is lift and go to this position where I'm going to get bucked and rolled. So I have to make sure that my weight is going this way, not that way and up, okay? So at speed, remember, we don't have to go fast, we just have to get across. So don't rush your technique on these. So when we're doing this, 1, 2, take your time, get your positioning, push down right here, 2, up and over, walk your way up, and make sure that you control those arms. The higher I am up on his chest, the harder it is for him to use his arms. And see, I can tuck my feet right into his hips, and it keeps him from pushing me back. But if he's good at shrimping, he'll still be able to get there eventually. So now we'll go into technique number 3, which is a scissor sweep when we are inside the guard, or when we have him inside the guard. So we'll start it from this position here, all right? And from this position here, the first thing is I want to get the guard, okay? So I want to control, I want to make sure I have head and arm. So I'm pulling this head down, I'm controlling this tricep here, and I'm pulling him down into me. So this is keeping me safe from his dominant hand. So if I know this right hand is dominant, I'm going to pull this right hand in. Now it doesn't mean that the left hand can't throw bombs, but see, I use that elbow to protect me. Now he's going to eventually pull his head back because monkey see, monkey don't. One, see how he just gave me space? I slid down and I grabbed his triceps. Two, I plant my feet fast, but I make sure that my knees stay bent. Three, I shrimp out. So this means I'm going to use the balls of my feet and my hips at the same time to push my butt that way as my upper body stays this way. So I shrimp. From here, my knee is going to go in between him and I, and it's going to be the side that I kicked out. So if I kick the butt out that way, it's going to be this knee is going to come up while this knee stays down. I'll show you on the other side, same thing. When I do this and I shrimp, it's one knee in and up, other knee down, and you see how it's on the crook of the leg. So when we do that, again, from beginning, I'm holding in, controlling from this position. When he starts pulling himself back, see how I get those triceps, see how I kick out. Now from here, I keep this leg low, I hook this leg in, but also look at my hook with my foot too. So I don't want it too high, but I don't want it too low. There's no way I can flip them when my legs are super close. There's no leverage. I want them apart, so I want to be up on the upper chest, but I want to hook his ribs as well. I pull in, I kick this leg like I'm throwing a roundhouse kick. This side pulls in on the arm, this side pushes, and we roll our hips quick. And now we have that scissor sweep. So we'll do it from this side so you can see it. And from this position right here, same idea. So we're have him in the guard. And from this position, I'm controlling immediately. Okay? And see how you really work on getting that tricep. Swim your hand through, get that tricep, work on that. He's going to be trying to punch with this side, trying to be pulling his head back. And see how just working with him now. Look how he gave me space right here. Kick your feet down. Make sure you're using the balls of your feet, not your heels when you're shrimp. Now from here, I turn. Look how I just kick that foot out, push my hip out, draw this one in, keep this one low. Now not so low that he can step over. I want to be right in between the crook of his knee, so above his calf and below his thigh, right here this way. And from this position, when I get this shrimp out, I pull hard on this side, push up on this side. My knees are apart, not together, right here. And then from this position, we pull, push, and we get that sweep, and we can control from here. So again, we'll do it from this side right here so you can see. At speed, remember, no rushing, just take your time because you're working. Okay? You gotta make sure that you're work. He gives me space. Now look, hips are out, legs here. Get that sweep. And notice that I'm holding on to his arms as we're sweeping so I can actually stay with them on the roll. And then base out, be ready to do this, or to get yourself up. We'll work on disengages later on in other videos. So now we're on technique number 4, and this is escaping the side control. Okay, so basic positions. We've covered the mount, which is very basic. We've covered the guard, passing it, and then sweeping it. That's technique number 2 and 3. Now we're escaping side control. So when he has me in side control here this way, I'll show it from this position, he's putting a lot of control with his knee to my head, his knee to my ribs, his elbow on my head, his elbow on my ribs, here this way. He's really controlling me, okay? Now this is really hard for me to get up and out of, and this is going to be one of your hardest positions. So he'll probably be working on this arm. Now what I'm going to be doing is shrimping out and getting space with this arm. See how I have to really work to get this arm through, but once I get this arm through, I have a wedge. Now one of the number 1 rules on this is I have to make sure that I have my belly button facing his. If I turn my back to him, let's give a little bit of space. If I turn my back to him here this way, he's going to take my back, he's going to choke me. Yeah, it's going to be lights out. So what we want to do on this one is once we get here, okay, from this position, you're turning your belly button towards, use this hand as a wedge. So I'm going to start wedging that knee, pushing distance. Now watch my feet here this way. I start walking them out, shrimping my butt out, see, getting myself back. Now watch this hand, because he's still going to be working on this hand. Look how I start grabbing my own clothes, right? So that just keeps this hand safe. Now from this position, look at this bottom knee. I push my way through, walk my hips, and then we're inside that guard, okay? And now we can work defensively from this position. So from this side now, so you can see it, I want you to watch my feet from this side. You won't be able to see much hands, but same thing. Look at this hand, this is a wedge hand. Look at this hand, he's gonna be working on it. As I work on it, look, take material. Hold on to that material, turn your body. Now look how my hips scoot out. This is a common mistake. Everybody wants to pull their knee through, but you can't get it through here. When I push my hips out, now I can scoot my knee through. And keep wedging, keep looking, keep rolling your hips, and then work on control, okay? So, from this position now, probably be the best.
Well, on this side or the other side?
Let's go on this side. Let's work on that same thing. So I'm working this, see where I'm at, working, grabbing clothes, and then from here, hips, two, hips. See, I'm still working, using your other leg, working, push, and then get control, and see how even from here, I have a head and arm, and we can work the back, we can work all kinds of things, but I have to get to this position. So those are the 4 basic positions in the very beginning. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going on to basic techniques, which will at least give you the fundamentals for your basic Wagi. So now I have him on the ground, and I'm going to have him on the mount. So let's go back just a little bit. So we'll start off this way first. Now remember your hips. See how I push my hips forward? Now watch my feet, okay? My knees are out, my feet are tucked into his butt here this way. This keeps me from getting bucked off of him, okay? What I mean is he'll try and roll me to the right and to the left, and if I can push my hands out, and see how my knees are naturally already posting out here this way, this keeps a good position. I can stay with him for quite a while. Now I'm gonna kind of strike down on him here, that makes him cover his face. From here, my fingers are gonna turn one of 2 directions. So if I'm attacking this arm, my fingers are going to turn towards this direction, palms down, my whole body weight pushing down. From here, my elbow is going to go right next to his ear. My other hand, the one that's not grabbing up top, that's right next to his ear, palm down, thumb towards you, is going to come underneath, palm down. And look how I am grabbing my own wrist. Now this hand is going to rev out to the outside. I want to try and turn his thumb up. So as much as I can, I just keep rolling this hand. This one's going to rev. Now you're going to have some pressure here on the shoulder, but not enough. Now watch what my knee does. Shifts out. I scoop my body down, so I'm bringing his elbow towards his ribs. Now I just do a little rev. Now it's a big mistake just lifting up doing this. You want to make sure that you draw that knee out, then shoot down towards the ribs. Rev that thumb up, rev that wrist, and you put lots of pressure on that shoulder very, very quick. So now we'll do it this way, where his head's facing this way, so you can see the details. So scoot it back just a little bit, this way. Here we go. So from this position, right here, I'm striking down. Notice that he starts covering his head. I push down with 2 hands, both palms down. Now he's stronger than I am. Hold your hands up. Now look, my body weight, not actually pushing, will break that. So I won't have to use strength, I'll just use my body weight. Now my elbow comes down, I'm holding down here, not up at his fingers. So right where his wrist meets his hand. My other hand comes underneath, and see how I just keep it tight. Don't come from the outside, you'll lose all of your leverage. Come from underneath, palm down. Now notice that I'm not trying to grab my thumb around, because if he starts breaking grips, it starts really going after my thumbs. So I use a monkey grip where both of my thumbs and my fingers are on the same side of his hand. And same thing with this hand here. Now from here, I rev, I shoot my knee down and out. See how his elbow comes towards his ribs? And then from this position, I continue revving. So I turn this one out, I turn this one forward. So basically, I'm turning both fingers forward this way, and I have a good grip. Notice I'm not having to rock my head forward, but once I do get there, I will, because that puts a lot more pressure. So at speed, not too fast, I'm working on these motions right here and getting him to control. Now look, from here, notice that I get underneath, my elbows to his head here this way, I roll it, I hook it, I push my knee down and out, so that way I'm not impeding my own motion. I keep it here, it impedes it, push it down and out, 1, 2, there's already pressure. Now watch the rev, watch the rev. So that is technique number 5, and this is a basic figure 4 from the mount. Now technique number 6 is a basic armbar from the mount, and we're starting off the same way. So what we're doing is I'm controlling him right here, doing this. Maybe he reaches up, maybe he covers. So if he reaches up, I hook across and grab his tricep. If he covers, I hook across and grab his tricep. Either way, I'm hooking across, grabbing the tricep, the rules never change. So doing this, look, hook across, grab the tricep, now look at this hand, grab the wrist, and I cross face. And as I cross face, this puts my hand down so I can do some work with my legs. So watch this cross face, I pull up on this tricep as I lift this foot up here, and this knee comes up towards his face. So it's a pull, a push, I lift myself up, 1. Now from here, notice that my elbow joint is staying close to his elbow joint here this way. Don't start losing it coming way up. Keep it low. So I'm at this position here, 1. Now from here, I'm basically sitting on him. I'm going to do another post, which pulls him up so I can actually get him over and around. I'm going to kick this leg around, but do not lift your butt up. So if I lift my butt up here like this, I've lost everything, okay? So when I do this, it's another post, 1, 2. Now from here, I want you to watch this. Your knees have to squeeze together. So I squeeze my knees together so I don't break my eggs or your groin, and I want to make sure that I create a lever that's higher. If it's my groin, then the lever is very, very low when I do get the armbar. Relax it for a second. Look how it can touch my chest. When I squeeze my legs together here and I'm using my adductors, the ones that add the legs together, then this lever is high. See how his arm isn't resting here. Now watch my leg. It pulls into his neck here. I'm perpendicular to him, so I'm hooking. Now keep it tight where you had it. There you go. So right there, watch this hand. Push in on the wrist. See, that starts attacking the wrist, which allows me to attack the arm here this way. I watch his thumb, keeping his thumb up. I watch his elbow. I pay attention to this vein. If this is pointing up, his elbow's pointing down, and I go slightly at an angle to my hip as opposed to going to my groin. I'm squeezing my knees in, and I push my hips up. And notice that I have one hand facing one way, one hand facing the other way. This is called positive negative grip. So we'll do it facing this, actually let's do it facing this way, okay? Let's just look right there. Okay, so we're here, same thing, 1, 2, 3. Maybe he reaches, maybe he doesn't. Look how I'm still taking opposite wrist, opposite elbow here this way. I'm going to hook and pull up as much as I can. Cross face here, leg up on his ribs, knee up on his neck here this way. Keep your body tight to him. I want you to see how tight my body is. Now from here, I cross face a little bit harder, push and pull. See how I sit? Now watch this leg. And notice that my butt did not come up off the ground. From here, I use both of my arms. I hook. Watch this wrist. You see that? I hook this wrist. Now, that gives me a little bit more pressure. And then from here, squeeze those knees. Make sure that you pull in on this leg too. And from here, push your hips up. And you got it. Now here's a major mistake most people do. They push their legs out, then do it. And look, there's nothing, okay? Knees bent always. So we'll do it one more time at speed and we'll go on to the next technique. So we'll do it this way, okay? So we got good visual here. And so when we are here in this position, 1, 2, 3, notice that I'm pushing through, I'm adjusting my body. Take your time on this. Make sure you get your hooks in. See how I didn't lift my butt? Now look at this wrist. This gives me that emotion to be able to pull his wrist or to pull his arm straight. And then from here, squeeze those knees. If you have to readjust, sit up, readjust. Keep this leg in tight, and then cross your hip, watch the thumb, and pull. Now one last thing, if you can get it down here, you don't have it, but you can still hook up and over, grab the back of your knee and lay it back, and that can give you a little bit more if you don't have the position that you thought you had. All right, so now I still have him in the mount, so that was technique number 6. So now we're going into technique number 7. So 7 and 8 are a little bit different. Let's scoot it back just a little bit. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and so it was reverse them out, pass the guard, then we had scissor sweep, then the figure 4, then we had the figure 4 from, so it's reverse them out, pass the guard, scissor sweep, and then side control, then figure 4, that's 5. Then we had 6, which was the armbar. Now 7 is going to be a hatchet choke. So all I'm doing on 7 is I'm working my way one side to the other underneath his neck. One side to the other underneath his neck. Now I kind of control his bicep here this way, so I'm not getting punched. I'll get some rabbit punches to the other side, but notice that I protect my head. Now from here, this hand scoots underneath. Now notice I do this. I pull it to me first and kind of swim it like this, okay? From here, I grab my elbow, okay, not my bicep, not my shoulder, my elbow. And then I'm going to do a head tilt, chin lift method. So I pull in like this, that tilts his head, I roll my elbow up, and from here I start pushing my elbow down like a cleaver, and we have an easy choke. So on this side, same thing, okay? This is a good angle from here. We'll turn it. See how I'm controlling? Now look how I'm controlling the bicep. I'm keeping my knees out. He's still going to be trying to punch me. He's still going to be trying to roll me and everything else. I'll still keep working my legs and everything. Then I start working this. Now notice I swam it. 2, look how I grip. See? Grip with these fingers here this way. Don't worry about the thumb, okay? Then tilt. Then once you're here, push down, okay? Now, one of the biggest things is when we do this, let's do it this way because we'll do it at speed. And that speed is just smooth, it's not fast, right? So when we're here and we're doing this, look how my hand's not here, my hand's all the way through. From here, I'm working my hand. Okay, we got it across. Now look, notice that my elbow isn't here. You can push my elbow off of it, okay? My elbow is across here. Now, my hand is at the elbow here this way. I'm gonna take a little pressure off of the trachea as I talk. My elbow's here. Grab everything you can. Grab your tricep tendon, grab that elbow, grab your clothing, and then push across, and then push. And you'll have a good hatchet choke. So now we're going into a collar choke on number 8. And number 8 is very, very easy. So there's lots of collar chokes that you do in jiu-jitsu, these cross collar chokes. Ours is easy, it's a cross collar choke as well, but we're going to do a cross collar with a cross face. So all I'm doing is I'm grabbing 1 or 2. I like to grab with my left because I like to punch with my right. So I'll do this. 1, push his head across, and I reach in and just grab in. Now if he doesn't have a dobokan and he has a t-shirt, all that much better, I'll reach in and I'll feel to where you have this seam that goes up the shoulder, or I'll go down by the ear. So I'll just basically do this. 1, and I know right where to grab. Now 2, I wrench up and I cross face him here. 3, and from here I push down. Now as I push down, you keep a good grip on this and push down. I'm gonna give him a little bit more space on this one. We'll pull up just a little bit here because the dobok doesn't push over as much. So I push over, push down. Now that's part of it, but then once we're here and we're doing this, notice that I'm going to hide it. So I'm basically right here doing this. 1, kind of guiding it, walking it. Now I cross face it, push it down. Look how I have a good grip. I formed a fist here this way. Now he has to make a choice. He's either going to get choked out or he's going to get punched out. So as soon as I start pushing this down to the ground here, I start unloading punches, and he defends the choke, he defends the punches. So then on the other side, show from this way, same thing. I want you to watch my hand. So as we're doing this, see how I just kind of hide one way or the other. So I'm kind of taking my hand underneath here this way, lifting his head up, Now from here, notice that it's like I'm doing a hatchet choke. Now I just push over, cross collar it, and push it down right there. That gets the choke, but I need to start launching punches. When I launch punches, don't punch like this, okay? None of this stuff here. Elbow up towards the sky, 12 to 6, punch straight down. This will keep your knuckles in line and you'll be able to bone stack. Okay, so at speed, which is smooth, same thing, hide it, hide it, hide it. I'm not gonna hide it so much because you need to be able to see. Notice that I'm just kind of reaching, seeing where he's at. Now I'm moving across, grabbing in, slide, move, adjust your hand, keep a good grip on this, and then punch straight down or from the side. But notice that I'm bone stacking the whole way. Don't do any of this stuff. You will break your hand. All right, so now we're going into number 9. Okay, so that was a collar choke. Number 9 is a combat hold down. Number 9 is very, very fun. So it starts off on number 5, which was this one, the figure 4. So I start punching, getting him to cover, 2 hands, and we go after that figure 4. When he starts defending it, which means he's going to just reach his hand through and grab, see right here, he can grab his own hand, grab my hand. Now this stops me from being able to get this figure 4. All I do is pull across. Now here, drop your body weight. Okay, now once my body weight's dropped, it's dropped. His hand's across his neck here this way. This hand feeds here and grabs his wrist. This hand is going to help it feed. So it's just feed. From this position, watch my hip transition. 1, 2, I go almost up to his neck. This one goes to his ribs here this way. This hand slides up to his elbow. I'm going to pull, I'm going to push. I give him a little bit of space so I can roll him, and I drop in. Now, notice the ball of my foot is sticking into the ground. My heel is digging into his ribs. I'm pushing down here, 1. Now I'm going to lift up, kind of straighten my back out so it puts pressure on his neck, and we're going to work on straights and elbows here. And this combat hold down allows you to strike at will. So from this side, so you can see, maybe he's ridiculously strong too. So when we're doing this and I'm trying to push, look, see how my weight just dropped? All I did was 1, 2, 3, push. When he pushed across, I just pulled, drop your weight. Then from here, look, I'm just using my hand to feed it. Now slide up, adjust, adjust. Now right here, look at my heel. See how I'm digging? You can see that ball of foot. I push my hips in. That puts weight in onto those ribs. Then I strike and I elbow, okay? So again, from this position, we'll do it, actually let's turn it around this way so you can see. Okay, right here at this angle. So I want you to watch my position and my hips. So same idea. So we're push across. When we get here, watch this hand. See how it just slides underneath? Now look, we'll turn it now. See how I have his wrist, not his fingers, his wrist. Now feet up, slide, adjust your hips, push, and then make sure you don't get rolled. He'll keep trying to roll if I don't have that heel up. When I have that heel up, it hurts to roll. Then I strike. Remember, none of this crap here. Strike straight down and strike straight down with that. And then from here, if you want added bonus, you feed your hand through, grab your own elbow or close to your tricep tendon, pull up, push down, and we can cleaver it and we have a choke, okay? So that's just bonus. So that's number 9. Now we're going to side control. So number 10, he'll be here. I'll be here. Remember we talked about on the fundamentals of side control. My knee is to his hip, my knee is to his head here this way. My elbow's to his hip, my elbow's to his head here this way. And I want to make sure that if he's rolled either way, I flatten him out. Now from this position, I'm starting to control his arm. So number 10, his fingers up. Number 11, his fingers down. Number 12, his fingers out. So we're attacking either the shoulder, the wrist, or the elbow on the arm. And you can attack fingers as well. So there's basically 4 things that you can attack on the arm, no more than that. Okay, so on this one, it's fingers up. So I'm just gonna feed it, 1, okay? And it's not what I want, it's what he gives me. So 10, 11, 12 flow with each other because it's whatever he gives me. So if he puts it here, this is what I'm taking. Now look how my elbow goes to his ear. I keep my body weight down, it's just like a figure 4 here this way. Now I roll his thumb up, I slide this down to the elbow. I want you to see this part. I lift my elbow up onto his ribs here. As I pull in, this creates a lever now. I roll, okay? And you have a really, really tight lock. You can do it here and it hurts. As soon as I lift that elbow up onto the ribs and onto the hip, then roll, it hurts. So from this side, we'll switch it. Same idea. See how I'm keeping it tight. Okay, everything is tight, 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 tight. Okay, I'm pulling it in. Maybe I'm trying to pull it this way and he pulls it for me. Boom. Okay, lock it and set it. See how both palms are down? I'm monkey gripping it, monkey gripping it. Thumbs and fingers are on the same side. I'm not at his hand, I'm at his wrist. I'm at my own wrist, not my hand, because that's a major mistake, but it's a common mistake. And from here, wrench up, pull down, lift up, and then look. See my hand's ready to rev? Little rev. On this hand and this hand, okay? So at speed, I'm just keeping myself down here. 1, trying to pull him down, see how he pushed it for me. I wrench it, 2, and rev, and see how you keep it smooth, right? You don't have to be fast. So now from here, we'll turn it this way. Now we have number 11. So I pulled it up, I'm trying to pull it up, he pushes it down for me. All right, great. So from here, from this position, I try and straighten it out, he bends it for me. Cool. So this is basically the inverse of number 10. So now it's thumbs down, or fingers down. It has fingers pointing up, fingers pointing down, my elbows down, here at his ribs. I pin as much as I can. This hand comes down and under, but look how I'm feeding it at his shoulder, not way over here. Number 1, you're not going to get the length to be able to do that. Number 2, we want to attack right at this shoulder joint. And from here, I'm going to push my elbow towards myself. 1, and I'm going to reach in. Now from here, I have short arms, so all I'm going to do is just push with my hip. 2, and then I get that wrench. From here, I'm going to push back, I'm going to pull up, and we have a lock, okay? Now you can really take this up. We can roll them over. We can take this lock even further. But for now, I want you to work on it from this position where it's a basic lift and push. So I'm revving this one, a little lift, a little pull in with your body, and then lock it and pull it, okay? So now on the other side, the same thing. So you can see, same idea. 1, okay, pushing it up, he pushes it down. Okay, we got this, good. So I'm trying to straighten it right there, good. Now look how I'm pulling it in right here, and I'm using my body to do this. So I'm keeping my body on him. What I meant by that, it's not just my arm, it's my body shifting. Now I reshift my body here this way. I adjust my arm so that way it's closer to his shoulder here this way. I pull in, pull up, and then I lean just slightly. Right there, okay? And there's your lock. So pull, and then lean. Right there, okay? So very easy. I have a harder time with that one. Some people have longer arms, have a easier time because of those longer arms. My easiest one is this one and this one. This one right here is harder for me because of my short arms. For people with long arms, very easy. Okay, so now we're going on to number 12, and number 12 is straight arm. So we went from here, right here, which is that figure 4, which I like, but look, see how he's straightening it out? Oh, beautiful. Now look how I have a figure 4. Now I raise it up towards my shoulder. Now look what my elbow just did. It made a high fulcrum. When I keep this high fulcrum here this way, this hand is going to just scoop dirt down, like I'm taking sand, bring it to me. So I'm going to do that same thing on his arm, but I use a fist. And we do this, okay? You can control it here with your wrist and do it, but when you do this, make sure that you keep this fulcrum. Don't let it go. See, like right here, there's nothing. When I lift it up and I scoop, I do it. Now I breathe out, okay? Or breathe in. Either way, whichever one is best for you. I breathe out, I breathe in first, so my chest is high, so the fulcrum is there. Then I breathe out, so that way I'm not holding my breath. And then I have it tight. And then I just flex, show them the guns, and you have a high fulcrum. So then on this side, same thing. So that way you can see it. Let's turn it, we'll go that way, that's fine. Okay, right here. So we'll turn right here, there you go. So same thing, so I'm coming after it. Okay, so you can see, now from this position, right here, I'm having a hard time, he's straightening it out for me. Look how I'm here. Now this is great, I can flex it. Now watch what else I can do. I'm right hand dominant, so usually what I'll do is I'll just do this, 1, and then bring this one back over 2. Now look how I bring this elbow down, I pull dirt towards me, keep this one high, and you have it. Now, if you're weaker on this side, like my left elbow is a little bit weaker than my right, then I'll just adjust and hug. And see how I hug my head to it too? I know where his wrist is at, I know where his elbow is at, I can feel it, so we just go with it, okay? So again, from here, you're either on this side, trying to bend it here this way, you're over here trying to bend it, and all he wants to do is straighten that arm. When he wants to straighten that arm, okay, we're there, we take it high, you wrench, you have dirt, you can adjust here, you have dirt. Now, for whatever reason, he starts bending that arm again, bend it, good. Look how I take fingers, and I take it back straight, and you have number 13. So we have, 10, 11, and 12. Now, we're going to the guard for number 13. So we've covered the mount, just some basic techniques from the mount. We've covered side control, basic techniques. We haven't worked on chopping, working on elbows, working on different types of chokes. We're just working on just that arm. Now we're gonna work on a basic arm bar from the guard. So from here, I'm controlling the guard, controlling his head, controlling his arm, and look how I kind of push through and I get wrist control at the same time. Notice that he punched up, and when he did that, I already pulled back and he punched up. Look how I get wrist control right away. I'm kind of pushing, bicep sometimes, grab, wrist control, but either way, I pull through. So it's all based on holding him down and holding this tricep. Now from here, wrist control, just like we did from the mount, across. So I'm grabbing his tricep here this way, I cross face him, I raise this leg up high so it's opposites. See, this one's grabbing, this one's grabbing, this one's cross facing. Now this foot right here, ball of foot goes into the ground or foot goes into his hip. If you have slippery ground, use his hip. If you have good ground, use the ground, and then you pivot this way, okay? Still hold on to that tricep, raise your leg up, squeeze your knees, and when I squeeze, I push down on his head too here this way. Now look how I have the arm bar here, but I'm gonna do a squat, and I'm gonna roll him. Bump, and then I adjust with him. I don't want to be here, because it's too easy for him to roll out. I want to be as close to his leg as possible. I squeeze it in on my knees, watch his thumb, watch that, so I can feel this too, because sometimes the thumb moves around, he kind of twists his wrist, so I'll just go boom. Okay, I can feel that vein pointing straight up to away from my hip, and 2. Okay, so now, when we do that again, this time we'll do it from this position. I want you to watch him stack me. So when I get to here, look, 1, 2, right here, cross facing. Okay, this is not good, this is better. See how I'm adjusting? Now right here, he starts stacking. Look how I take this arm and I just grab in and I pull it towards the hand here and I just push with my hips. Stand up. See how it rolls us together here this way, and from here I squeeze and you can hold. So people cover that later on. I like to cover it right away just because people stand up and try to slam you. All right, so we do this again. We'll go slow through the first part, which is holding and controlling, holding and controlling. Remember, people try and punch and do both sides, but see how I'm holding and controlling? Now, see I come in right here, wrist control, tricep control, head, drop, push, or on the hip and push, knees, squeeze, hold, look, opposite, positive, negative, push up and roll. Okay. From here, working that neck, keeping it close, keeping this one tight, and if they're barrel chested or they got a big stomach, use their body. So like say for instance, he has a big stomach, then I'm gonna use his body as the ground. So I'll dig my heel in and then I'll push up, right? Now, since he is in shape and I don't have to worry about that, I'll use the ground and we push up, all right? And that is number 13. Okay, so then number 14 is a key lock. So basically, we're taking a figure 4 behind his arm. So it's kind of like a hammer lock. Now I'm still controlling. When he starts pulling away, we start getting this wrist control. Sometimes he's putting his hands in this way, and I kind of work, move, look. Wrist control is just about pummels, right? So I can pummel my way in, and now I have wrist control. Now once I get this wrist control, what I'm going to do is do a sit-up. 1. This arm goes way up high, over. Look how this elbow plants, and I go all the way over, up top, around, grab my wrist, okay? From here, when I sit back down, I'm not gonna lay back down straight. I'm going to lay back down sideways. So this foot plays a big part in that. I push my hip to lay back down sideways. Now notice that his head's going this way. My head is perpendicular to him. From here, I pull back. Then from here, watch, this elbow is going to roll towards the ground as I have this. Now everybody wants to push, I pull, and I use my trunk to do it. So I use my trunk and pull. Now don't put it to his back and pull. This is nice, but see how your arm starts getting extended and you're overextended. I keep this to my chest. And what I mean by this is his tricep to my chest. So now it keeps it tight and we get that roll, all right? So we'll do it on the other side from this position. All right, good. So we're in position. All right, good. So we're holding. He's doing whatever he wants. See how I'm getting this one here? Maybe he's choking. So you can see different positions. I'm getting wrist control. Maybe his elbows are in and he's on my ribs here this way. See how it's always just pushing and wrist control. You just work wrist control, okay? You have to kind of work and pummel for this one. But once you get wrist control, up and over. Up and over, one. Get this leg up so that way he doesn't kick his body out. Wrap over, grab. Now when I lay, look at my leg, it pushes me. I pull back a little bit so it gives me some room because it's stuck on my leg here. When I pull back, it gives me room. Now watch this leg over. If it's here, he'll shoulder roll out. If it's here, I'll keep him inside my guard. Now this elbow comes down. I use my head and my core to turn. One. Okay, now notice that his tricep is staying to me, okay? So let's turn it this way, and we'll go again. From whatever position, see how I just pummel? Get that wrist control, get that scoop, get that hook, turn, and one. And it's nice and smooth, okay? So now, that one is number 14, right? So just to recap really, really quick. We have reverse them out. We have reverse them out, pass the guard, scissor sweep. Then you have your side control. Then from there, we're on the mount. So technique number 5, we have the figure 4 from the mount. Then you have the arm bar from the mount. Then you have a hatchet choke from the mount. That's number 7. Number 8, you have the collar choke from the mount. Number 9, we have the combat hold down. Number 10 is where we start on side control. It's fingers up, 11, fingers down on side control, 12, fingers out. Then we had the arm bar, so that's 13. Then we were on 14 just now, which is the key lock or figure 4 behind the back. It's commonly referred to as a Kimura, based on jiu-jitsu folklore with, it's not really folklore, it's actually true tells, but it's based on some historical stuff. You can look it up. It's a great story. And then now, we're going into number 15, okay? So number 15 is just a collar choke, okay? So when we're going into this collar choke here, notice that I start working up. See, right here, I start sliding up and I go past his ear. See how my hand is right here? I'll take my thumb in, 1, and go past his ear, 2, and I grab as high as I can. Now watch what I'm doing as I'm doing that, okay? So I'm doing kind of this. So I'm still controlling him. I'm controlling this tricep, controlling this. Now look, oh, my hand is here already. All right, great. So I pull in and I grab as much clothing as I can. On regular clothes, this is even better. Now watch this hand. I'm gonna give you some space. I feed it underneath. My palm is facing me. I go all the way into this collar, and my hands fit together. If they don't fit together, it's not gonna be a tight choke. When they fit together and I have this tight choke, now, look at my hands, they're fitting like this, okay? You see some Aruken type moves, okay? That's kind of the idea. 1, 2, so I fit it. Now from here, I'm kind of controlling with my elbows, trying to punch me. Good, see I'm using my elbows, just kind of controlling, watching where my head is at. Now watch what I do with this arm. 2, I wrap it across. So when he pulls himself out, I help him. Now, watch my forearm across his jaw. Watch this forearm across his sternomastoid and his trachea. I'm gonna cross face him this way as I pull in this way, as I squeeze my legs, and it creates a quick, easy choke, okay? So that's number 15, all right? So when we're on number 15, let's turn around this way, so that way they can see. We'll go this way. Yeah, that's a really good angle for it. So same thing, look how I get control. You notice that this is a common occurring factor because you practice like from here this way, and then all of a sudden you're getting punched out. When we practice from here, we're already learning to control, not getting ourselves punched out. So head and arm, head and arm, head and arm. Now I walk in, okay? And on loose collars or light t-shirts, grab and then start grabbing more material. So see, I'm grabbing a lot of material. Now watch this hand. We'll give some space so you can see. It comes in, but now we're in. Now look where we're at, right here. See how my wrists are together? I'm pulling in tight, controlling that elbow. I wrap it and I turn. And see, I let it slide just a little bit, especially on the double top here this way. On t-shirts, you're gonna have a lot more play because they stretch. Now from here, I push, I pull, and look, it's my thumb side blade of my hand right here. This is my radius. That blade of that radius pulls in, and then it really moves his trachea. So that trachea starts moving, and it really starts attacking. On this side is pulling in on carotid arteries, on this side is pulling in carotid arteries. So again, one more time. It's one, he's playing with me, he's working with me. See how I'm holding, I'm working it, push it, and you got your lock. Okay, so now, the easy one, number 16, okay? And everybody thinks it's easy, but everybody gets it wrong because they all just try to get a headlock, okay? It's a guillotine that we're working on. And this is why I say it's the easy one and the hard one.
Which way you?
So we'll do it this way right here. And what happens is from this position, see, I'm getting the head and arm position right here. Now this is what people do. They just try and get a headlock and then they try to grab. Now notice that you can see on the camera, you see the back of his neck, okay? Now number 2, he's putting pressure down on me. It's hard to get this, so I'm having a really hard time. And so I'll crank it, crank it, crank it. He'll pull, I'll show you on this side. He'll just pull my hand right off of his neck and there's nothing, okay? So now, watch position again. This time, see the head and arm, wherever you're at. Now watch what I'm doing is I'm using my forearm here this way and I'm pushing my way out. Now, I go up and over, see? Up and over, look at my fingers. They point towards his belt and I'm pointing towards his belly button. I grab here, gable grip. If you have long arms, grab here on your wrist. Okay, so we'll just say long arms or medium range arms because I got the shortest arms in the world. So I'll grab here. Now I just scoop my butt right back in. I lay back, I wrap, I arch and squeeze. Good. And it chokes immediately. Okay, but that's the biggest thing on that is that you have to get your butt out and you got to scoot it back. So I'll show you from this position. I'm going to show you from that position. So we're here on number 15. Here we are, head and arm. Now look, controlling. He's trying to punch. Now, I still keep control, push it down. Now look how there's no space. It's not here, no space. My hand's going all the way towards him. This hand comes in underneath the arm. Now you can grab it here, but when you lay back down, he's going to punch your lights out. So wrap this arm up here this way. It protects your head. Then sit back in, wrap in, tight. Now look at my legs. I'm going to squeeze in and out, and then I'm going to pull up and crank. And you can hear him go, okay? That's a choke, okay? Those blood vessels stop popping on that face when you really start getting that choke. It's not like okay, I'm getting the choke. It's instantaneous on those chokes. So again, on number 16, so holding. Look at this right here, push out, pull. See where I'm at? And see how I push in here this way, and then I get control. Grab that wrist or that gable grip. So I'm grabbing that wrist here because he's not fat and wide, and then I got it right here. So people that are in shape are actually easier than people that are out of shape. People are out of shape but have to grab that gable grip, okay? So now, we're on number 17. Number 17 is fun, so we'll do it from this side. All right, this one's the last one from the guard, okay? And so from this position, what we're doing is we're still working this head and arm, and we're working on tricep control. He starts working on pulling back, punching. Oh, look, good, I work on wrist control. So all I did was, when he starts working back punching, look, knee in, foot in, right here. Still holding on here this way. Slide down, get that wrist control, and hold on to that tricep. Now from here, see how I'm getting my other foot in? 1, 2. Now watch how I push my hips and I pull up and I do this, 1. Now as I do that, 1, I pull and I kind of kick him with the back of my leg to the neck. This gets it all the way across. This hand, you want to pull all the way across to your hip. So I double arm it and hold on to that tricep. Now 2, pull in, take your foot and push. If you gotta push off the hip, that's fine, but you have to be sideways to his neck. People do this triangle choke, they can never lock it in. Now when I do it sideways here, now look, even my short legs, I go up straight, this one pulls down, it locks, and it chokes quick. Now once we're there, watch what I do with my hands. So I'll keep this somewhat light here and pull. Now when you do your triangle choke, so you can see it here, I pull down and tight and I squeeze in. So now it's taking this gap, you see, and it's closing it. Okay? So from this position, same thing, watch where my body goes, right? So we're controlling, I'm controlling, working, good. Now look, 1, 2, okay? So we're kind of in a butterfly guard now. Now from this position, all I start doing is work, okay? And he'll work for me too. He'll try and pull on that arm. Oh, great. So now my arm's across, pull. See how I'm hooking this tricep here, pushing this head, turning my body. Now look, up, over, and squeeze, okay? And one more time. Let's do it from this side. So you want to see that angle, right? And that angle is very, very important. So what happens is when we're here, we're working all of this, they start pulling back, right? And maybe they're not pulling back, but see how I get here. Now look, this right here and this is easy. Get that wrist control, get that hip control, and if he starts pulling back the other arm, get wrist control as well. Now look, pull. See how it's like you're kicking the neck again. Pull across. Now watch this stack, because you gotta be very, very careful for it, but watch my foot. Look how I start turning my body here this way. Now look how I kick my leg up, like I'm doing a leg raise. Now I wrap it, now it's tight. Now there's a squeeze, all right? So that is number 17. So we got 3 more techniques for our basics, and these are scarf hold downs. So if we throw somebody and we fall with them, we don't always want to go to the mount, to the guard, sorry, to side control. And we don't want to end up in the guard, so we go to their side. So start it this way, where your head facing that way, your feet facing this way. So we've fallen, so you're laid down this way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. So yeah. So I've thrown him this way, right? So see where we're at? Now, we'll scoot it up so that way this camera can see. And we've fallen, and we're in this position, almost like a headlock, right? I wrap this arm, and I make sure I get control of this tricep. Now watch my hip. My knee comes in, and I grab my own tendon right here on the back of my knee, where my hamstrings meet my knee right here. I grab this. It's a good handlebar. I'm basically wrapping my arm around his neck, treating my arm like a scarf around his neck. From here, I'm holding in tight. Now from here, he'd be working, he'd be trying to punch and everything. I keep myself controlled and composed. I'll kind of punch back and I push. 1, okay? Now if he doesn't let me push, then I make him, see? See how his arm naturally went for defense? I do this Phoenix eye, which is part of your purple belt material. Stick it in the mandible, he'll put his hand there for you. 1, 2, I lift, see? Just a little lift, like I'm tucking it up to my knee. 3, I wrap it, because we already worked on that triangle. Now look, I use a ball of foot here, and I start walking my foot back, walk my foot back, walk my foot back, but that's not quite it. Now watch his hand, push it towards his head as you walk back. And you use your hips, okay? So again, I'll do it this side real quick. 1, 2, we're controlling, I'm punching, I'm elbowing, we're working on chokes and everything else, and he's pulling his arm. If he pulls his arm, I pull it in, and I can control it for a second here, but I have to push it down. So look, push it, get your leg over, up, around, now use your toes here. Now start drawing and pushing the head, but look how I push the hips, so that way I don't kill his shoulder. Push your hips as you do that. So as we're here and I draw and I push the head, I push the hips, and you got that lock, okay? So we'll do it from this angle, here this way. See how I roll with it, boom. Now from here, see I'm controlling it, control it, wrap it, okay? Get yourself safe for a second, kind of breathe, catch your breath. Now one other thing you want to work on this, just so that way we don't forget to mention it, is don't be too close. He'll throw you up and around. Don't lean back, because all he has to do is sit up. Lean forward, get your hip up off of him, and put your ribs on him here this way. You can hold down and rest for quite a while and have this pin down here for a little bit. Now from here, I make him move. 1, 2, 3, and this is number 17, and the push. So then from there, if for some reason I'm trying that, we talked about that, I push down and he wants to straighten his arm out. I go here and I start walking. Now look, see where I'm at? I want to control his wrist, but watch how I control his wrist. Since we're not in an MMA fight, I take any finger I can, or all fingers, and I just start wrapping fingers like this and turning him out, okay? From this position, I push this foot forward as I'm pulling this foot back, and I push. Now notice I keep control of this because see how it starts letting go? But when I control it right here, here at the wrist, here at the thumb, anything I can grab, even his sleeve if I have to, and just control it here, I can attack this elbow. It creates a quick arm bar. See how his elbow's pointing down? I can feel that vein again, because sometimes I can't see his thumb, so I feel for the vein. Oh, it's right there, good. And then I push up, okay? So let's do it again. Do it on this side, that armor break. So got that SARF hold down. Now notice that when we're here, I'm kind of making sure that I'm leaning forward. I'm keeping my ribs up off. I don't want him to sit up, and see how this leg is up, but I'll kind of kick this leg back sometimes when he starts sitting up. And then I will also watch for leaning too far this way. Now I start pushing it 1, he starts straightening it 2. Now see how I just bring this leg in. I control this hand, control these fingers, control this thumb. Now look, this leg comes up, it's like I'm doing an oblique kick. This leg pulls back, and 1, okay? That's too easy, okay? Now the last one, when we're holding in this way, he's so intent on me not doing any of those that he pulls it the other way. So if I'm going this way, trying to pull it across, trying to do this, and he pulls it across his body this way, cool. Now watch. Take your hand, put it on the back of the elbow here this way, 1. Now look how my palm was facing down, grabbing the interior of my knee. So from this position, I just push it here, palm still down. This hand goes palm up, the one that pushed the elbow. 2, I grab and squeeze. Now 3, watch my feet. 1, 2, I flip. Now I start walking, walking, and I turn my stomach towards the ground. But don't walk this way and do it. Turn your stomach towards the ground. Then see how it's good. Now you want to be up on your toes, and you don't want to be too high. So what I mean by this is when we're here, so you can see it. Let's go back just a little bit so the camera can see it. So when we're here and we're in this position, we're controlling. I'm trying to take him this way. He doesn't want it, Okay, right there, boom, see? Just hug it. 2, grab it. 3, squeeze your head. 4, get yourself somewhat low. And then when you're here and you flip your feet, look how my hips are backing out, but I'm not too high up this way. I'm not so far backing out that I can't squeeze. So what I do is when I go backing out, I walk around. So I flip it, backing out, and I start walking around. See how my stomach is down? Now look, it's a quick squeeze. All I did was a shrug, and then a turn. And it's an easy lock, okay? So that is your head and arm triangle from the scarf hold down. So we have 1 through 20, and those are your basic Wagi techniques. Make sure you practice them, okay? There's a lot of different movements with them, and you'll start to notice that when you practice these and you have some resistance, then you stand up and you have resistance, and you start understanding all of your wrist, elbow, and shoulder locks, knee locks, ankle locks, necks. They're all the same. Laying down, standing up, it's the same thing. It's just now instead of being here, we're here. And instead of being here, now we're here. So it's just relational. And you will learn so much more about your Hapkido with Wagi, which is laying techniques, or we call it Yawara grappling. All right, thank you very much. Make sure to practice.